Guess you can't hear me.
No,
You're
we can hear
still
you now.
kind of faint,
Okay.
Tracy.
Okay.
All right, welcome everybody to the June 5th Ortelius architecture meeting. Um, so we were just talking about the work we were doing with Jing. Reached out to Mark Waite and he replied with a document, a shared document around their build process. Um, it's pretty in depth. It looks like he just used a AI tool to generate it. It's a couple
He did,
pages
and then he
long.
apologized for it. He's like, I'm trying to use more AI for my writing.
Yeah, so I have to look through it again. It talks about how they build or what they build. So it talks about them building a WAR file, their Docker images, but it really doesn't talk about where they build things. And I have to do a deep dive into the document to see if they reference a couple websites, but I didn't have time to check on the links on where they were and things like that. So,
Where did you mean where they build though?
so I think they run Jenkins somewhere to build Jenkins, to build that WAR file.
Okay. So they
So
have their own infrastructure, right? Somewhere must be.
that's what I'm thinking. I think they have their own infrastructure somewhere to build uh, uh, the Jenkins WAR file. Now
Yeah.
and I think if I remember correctly, the Docker images may get built by GitHub Actions um, after the WAR file's been published. So they have a couple moving parts that are going on that I just had to do a deeper dive and see if I can figure out what's going on. But um, in the main reason for this exercise is to understand what they have going on in their pipeline. So if we do want to get closer integration, or I wouldn't say closer integration, but closer into their pipeline. So right now we figured out a way to, like with Arvin's help, figuring out when they do a new release. So when they do a new release, we can go ahead and trigger our stuff to go and generate the SBOM, uh, do some create the component artifact version. I mean, application version inside of Ortelius. But what happens is there's some things that we have to go backwards and derive, like the git commit. Some of that information isn't quite as obvious. We have to do some more work to get that information. So the closer we get into their build process, we can grab that information as like a first class citizen versus us being a bystander and having to go um, do a bunch of snooping around to get that information that we need. So if you look at the Jenkins itself, it's a WAR file, and then the WAR file gets packaged into some Docker images. And then they have a whole nother build process that builds like almost 3,000 plugins. And then they run some tests and things like that. So that's where we're not going to worry about those 3,000 plugins. We're just going to worry about the base Jenkins install as part of that process. So that's kind of where we need to figure out. That's what I mean, Jing, by where it's happening. Because what we may be able to do is open a PR on their Jenkins file to say add in an SBOM and add in Ortelius as part of that process. Now, that's where we need to just look at the options on that front. My guess is they're going to be resistant. I have a feeling Mark's going to be resistant to that. And the reason being is everything's working perfectly. They don't want to break anything. So, we get into this catch-22. We're trying to give them better information about their projects from a security standpoint and, um, you know, help make their product better, but at the same time, they don't want things to break. So we'll do some more investigation work on that front. Does that help bring some context to what we're looking for?
Yeah, but I also have a question in regard to the plugins. I remember in the past, it's not about Jenkins upgrade give us trouble. It's the when we upgrade Jenkins, all those plugins which is out of sync with the Jenkins main version, that actually is really pain. So that's why I wonder if you're not going to look at that part. But I remember from user perspective, that's the most painful part because it break all our environments in the past. We have to do rigorous testing before we actually can upgrade.
Yeah. And for what we're doing on our first pass, we're going to scope that out and
Okay.
just focus on that Jenkins war file, providing security information about that Jenkins war file.
All right.
Um,
Phase one, this is out of scope. All right.
yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's a whole nother dependency. Uh, those would end up all being components and stuff like that that we would want to look at that dependency graph and things like that. But it is a huge lift for us to do initially. So that's why I'm looking at just the easier part of just looking at the Jenkins war file and the Jenkins Docker files.
Sure.
And I just okay. I had chats. The AI bots keep on asking me things. It's it's like, do you want me to keep transcribing? I'm like, I don't care. So, uh, but so I think we have a plan on that front to be able to go ahead and do it passively, or like I said, like a bystander, to get us the information that we're looking for. And when we get deeper into it, we'll be able to see if we need to uh, change things up.
Sure.
And we may learn that over time, what we will be able to do is initially that project inside of Ortelius will have one component, and that component will be the Jenkins container or war file, whatever it is. And it'll be associated to an application. If we want to start doing the plugins themselves, those will be additional components we'll add to the Jenkins application. So right now we'll just get the structure of the main part of Jenkins and start working on that. Because we still don't do automated notifications. So we'll be needing to add that so we could, notify them on a Slack channel or on a Discord channel or however we're planning on doing it. And then over time, we can start adding some of those plugins. But we won't be looking at if the plugin is, I'm not sure how we determine if the plugin meets that particular version of Jenkins, like you said. And this is the whole discussion around CD events and getting away from plugins, is because they're a pain in the ass. They're not easy. And when KK left CloudBeast, he wrote a blog about that and said that's got to be fixed in CI/CD, and we still are doing it the old way.
Yeah, that's where Jenkins X came from, trying to fix that,
That's exactly what Jenkins X is.
which is a whole nother beast. And I don't know how many people are using Jenkins X versus Jenkins and stuff like that. So, But
Yeah, so Jenkins X is just a big container with all the plugins that you need already put in it.
so yeah,
And we probably should, maybe we should look into seeing what Jenkins X has. Because maybe we could start pulling it from Jenkins X, what Jenkins X is delivering as opposed to what Jenkins is delivering. So I think we'll learn that over time.
yeah, and
Or you can ask Mark as well if he has any info on that.
Yeah, yeah, maybe we should be pulling it from Jenkins X because apparently that's supposed to be a full container with a bunch of other tools already put in them. That's what I understand it to be, but I could be wrong.
yeah. So now that we have the initial doc started, that we'll be able to from Mark, we'll be able to uh, keep moving, do some work and kind of lay out what we need to do for our side as the steps. Um, so I think, like you said, maybe not next week, but the week after, we schedule just a 15-minute call or a half-hour call with Mark. That would be the easy way to go.
Okay, sure. I'll come back to him today then.
Yeah, and tell him we're looking at more of the where things happen and not necessarily the how.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the infrastructure.
Yep.
Because when I read over that doc, I don't recall, I just breezed it really quick. I don't recall it getting into the infrastructure part of it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure open source how open source operates because normally infrastructure, it's a security issues. People don't expose that information to other people who are not part of the team though.
Right. But that's why we need to have that conversation with Mark. So any other questions on the Jenkins part? All right. Utkasrh, what do you have for us these days?
Yep, yep. Let me share my screen.
Doing your magic.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start from where we left in the last call. So this was a sort of pseudocode wherein we identified there are like three components. One component would be responsible for creating the dependency set. They would be basically the safe dependency set that we want to test our application against. So we said we will rely on Ortelius services for identifying what all safe dependencies are. And there was another part wherein we had to, test the, set of dependencies for a particular application, if that is getting built correctly or not. If that is getting built, that means we can straight away go ahead and create PR. If not, we can create an issue and notify developers to do some migration on their end. So I was trying to work on this particular thing. Let me try to demo it. I've created a what you call a MCP server. It has quite a lot of tools that we can utilize, and we don't have to mention it. If at point the LLM identifies if he has to use any of these tools, it will automatically go ahead and use those tools. For building our application, I have used E2B sandbox, which is like they're like lightweight sandbox environment created for running your code snippet. In our case, we just need to run three steps. We just have to check out our code, identify what technology it is, where we can find how to run that particular application. That might be from that might come from LLM itself, or might be part of some README file or a Docker file that they had in their repository. So for that purpose, I'm also doing repo mix analysis. So this is another tool which will analyze your whole repository and try to create a consolidated summary. This will also identify which technology it is and which all files are present for package management.
Is
Uh,
that is that repo mix another MCP?
yes, yes. So I'm using MCP for repo mix.
Okay.
They had this another tool as well. So you can just give the repository, it will give you a markdown of
Oh, nice.
things. Convert to
Triple
it's
mix
free and
free? Oh, sorry.
yeah, it's free. Yeah. So we can see it's pretty much structured data and we can identify a lot of things from here.
Nice. What was the other format that you could kick it out as?
Yeah, that was XML.
XML. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I've run into more things now that want to be XML based instead of JSON. It's so weird.
Mhm. Okay, so let me try to demo it. This is not like beautiful, but I'm working on it to modify the response structure that we can get and the abstracting out any like user input kind of thing. So here I'll show you one repository which is working totally fine with all the dependencies and few other repositories where there is some issues with their dependency.
Sorry, you have a MML running behind this repo mix. Is that right?
Sorry, can you come back?
Did you have a language model running
Yes, language
behind
model.
this? Which one are you
Correct.
using now?
I'm using Anthropic.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically how it works is if you see here, I have like set up different MCP into our Anthropic model. And moreover, we can also create tools since you have mentioned custom tools MCP setup. Yep. So we are going to have one tool for Ortelius for fetching the dependencies.
Right.
So we'll just write a function. We need to have like a API expose that we can utilize, and that's it. It will be listed as another tool here.
Okay. Cool.
So does that mean once this go live, we need to have a API constantly running there?
Yeah, or we have to deploy this particular server into same VPC virtual environment,
Mm-hmm.
so it can access the local host and invoke those endpoints.
So to make the current SaaS version working, we have to deploy a virtual environment to support that SaaS version then.
Or there are a couple of ways of doing that. So basically, as Tracy was mentioning, if we can use the cloud events or something asynchronous. So basically, I can just read data from that particular thing. So in that case, this will be like decoupled pieces.
Utkasrh,
Mhm.
can we deploy like the serverless, the dual serverless function?
Serverless. Oh, yeah, we can do. In that case, we'll just need to find out from where to pull data. Because in a SaaS environment, there can be a different tenants, right? So we'll have to identify from which tenant we have to pull data.
Yeah.
So let me run this one. So mostly all the repositories in Ortelius are either Python or there are like a couple of other technologies. So here, what I'll be looking at is this success. So this went and instantiated a sandbox. It already got decommissioned when that work was completed. It will build and it will also try to fetch all the logs that that are there at that point of time. So the application was listening on port 8080. If there are any other, if somebody is building their application and running some test suits, so it will be able to fetch those result of the test suits as well. Let
Sorry,
us
ask a dummy question. Where did you fetch those things from, though?
these.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened, I have this integration, another MCP configured in the LLM server, which is E2B. So what it will do, if I show you the log, so here you see tool use, right? Or I can show you this one.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was working to like beautify the structure of the response. So here, if you see, it will be using few tools. So first tool will be to analyze the repository and create a consolidated context for that particular repository. So it has used a repomix tool, and then it started using GitHub get file content, and then okay, this was a sample response. It has not mentioned, and then it will go and try to use this particular thing, E2B MCP. I have a container running for GitHub and E2B.
mhm.
So it will go ahead and try to instantiate a sandbox environment. And here, if you see, where were we? Yeah. Here in the prompt, I have specified what are the steps he has to do. So create a project directory in E2B root directory, and then we have to clone the repository, install dependency based on the dependency management file. So it's just a prompt to an LLM plot, and it will identify these. He has to perform these steps, but it will identify what is the dependency management files that he has to use, and what is the command he has to use to run that particular application.
Does it do the build as part of
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Which prompt is causing it to do the build? Try run application will do the build,
So,
or the first prompt, I want to do a build.
so this is first level of prompt. There is another system instruction, which is quite intensive. So here I have mentioned all those things like what they have to do.
So this is the context that you're giving the
Yes.
prompt.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have outdated repository for this validate user. Uh, this should fail. And we can also see what was the error in that case. Okay, I forgot to change this chat ID. Okay, it will run like few times because sometime what happened, the life cycle of that particular sandbox is very short.
Right.
So it has done turn 1, then turn 2, and here we can see it has it was trying to use E2B run code tool, which will go ahead and run our particular application in that sandbox environment. Then turn 2.
And was the build happening in turn 1 or in turn 2?
It is happening in turn 2.
Okay, so
Yeah.
turn 2 has the the build and run kind of combined together.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is also successful. I think I might have taken full. Let me check.
So these have dependencies on how good the prompt is then.
Yeah, so on that side, what I'll do, basically this will be abstracted out.
Hey, guys, I
So,
gotta interrupt for just a sec.
mhm.
I think John Willis is trying to come in. I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna go to the meeting that he set up because he's trying to get into this meeting. So I will be right back.
Okay.
He might I'll make sure he has this video, this recording. So go ahead. I'm gonna try to bring him in now.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, basically we'll not take like this kind of a structure as an input. We'll just take what repository we want to analyze, and basically whatever. So we should have a permission like access token for that particular GitHub account. So all of these repositories are forked into my account, GitHub account. That is why I'm able to pull these from GitHub.
Right.
So yeah, we just need like one parameter like repository. Everything will be abstracted out behind the scene.
Nice.
And yeah, and as we go and identify any other issues or errors, we can tweak this to cater those as well. Okay, so yesterday I took a pull. That is why this is also working fine. Yeah, I saw you have changed to poetry. Let's take another one. Okay, this is pretty old.
And don't forget to change your chat ID.
Oh,
I think you caught
there
it.
is no issue, but the problem is the context would be reused in case chat ID is same.
Right. I think you didn't. Yeah, I don't think you ever ran 104, so I think you should be good.
Mhm. Okay. So turn 1 and then turn 2, creating project directory, cloning, and then it identified there is no requirement or txt. And then
Did it pick up the poetry then? I can't remember
yeah,
that.
for the poetry one it does. So I ran
I,
it last time.
yeah, I can't remember which
Yep.
package file that one had.
Let me check for this one once.
Sorry, why it will pick up the poetry here though?
So it will identify. So poetry is the package manager in this particular case. The other one.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought literally poetry. Sorry.
No. So before we were using requirement.txt, and now we are using poetry and TOML configuration.
Yeah.
TOML configuration, okay. Yeah. Okay,
Interesting name
modules.
though. Why do you call this name?
So as you can see here, we see
It thinks it's a
quite
NPM
a lot
program.
of errors. So what we are going to do, we are going to take a pull for this particular. We are going to sync this up.
Yeah.
Then we are going to try that out. Mm. I have to discard, right? Yeah, it's synced up now. We are going to run it again.
So Steve, once this is running, do you plan to have this rolled out in our SaaS platform though?
Yes, it just depends on how things are plumbed together, and what we need to do on that front. So, like right now, Utkasrh isn't running the LLM himself. He's using a service, like Anthropic's
Mhm.
chat service.
Mhm.
So that's some of the things we'll need to figure out.
Yeah,
But
so
I
for
found the Nstraps have like the message length limitation though compared to the other LLMs though. The other ones so far, my personal experience, I throw stuff in, never tell me this thread is already a very long and you have to start a new one. But Anthropic constantly run into this issue though.
Yeah, and I think with what we're doing, our prompt is pretty short.
yeah, and we are
Um,
not getting a context window as well. So it's just like
yeah,
one prompt job, maybe like twice or thrice. That's it.
yeah,
But over the time it will build up. So that means as far as if they haven't changed their architecture, that means we have to restart a new thread from time to time then.
Yeah, that is where this particular chat ID comes into picture. So for each repository, or like what I was thinking for each invocation, we can use a different chat ID.
I see. I don't know how Sasha has appears because I've been using it for doing my
Mhm.
coding myself. But daily I have to start multiple sessions, at least
I
10
can
sessions a day. Yeah, sorry.
I can give you a trick to get around that problem.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be good though. Yeah.
So
So
I
for
I
your
everybody,
don't know.
VS
I'll be
Code,
throwing too many things into it.
pull down an extension called Client. It allows you to run any MCP server directly in your VS Code.
Okay.
Yeah.
so Utkasrh, I hate to ask you to do that whole demo again, but could you do a summary of what we just did for John?
Yeah, yeah.